Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Well, today we're tackling the world of LLMs.
Large language models.
Right, LLMs. But not just the basics, you know. We're going deeper, like way deeper.
Into the heart of the machine, so to speak.
Exactly. We're looking at some cutting-edge research that asks this wild question.
Do LLMs know when they're going to mess up?
Yeah. Like, do they internally know if they're going to successfully follow our instructions? Can they predict their own success?
And the implications are huge, especially when you think about AI agents, those personalized helpers that could revolutionize
Everything. Fitness plans, nutrition,
even,
even
even psychological counseling, potentially.
it's mind-blowing. But how reliable are those AI agents, really? I mean, can we trust them to actually do what we want?
That's the core of it, right? It all hinges on instruction following. Can LLMs reliably carry out our commands? And what's surprising is that even the most advanced LLMs, like GPT-4,
Yeah, everyone's talking about GPT-4.
it only nails about 80% of instructions on standard tests.
80%. That doesn't sound terrible.
No, not on the surface.
But when you think about it in a real-world scenario, like that AI fitness planner,
Right.
what if you're like, hey, no knee-intensive exercises, and it's like, boom, burpees.
Ouch.
Not ideal.
Not ideal at all. And that's exactly what the researchers wanted to understand. So they built this special data set. It's called iEvil Simple.
Catchy.
Yeah, well, they're scientists, but basically they took these everyday tasks like writing resumes or crafting jokes.
Oh, I love a good AI-generated joke.
Right, and they paired these tasks with super specific instructions like include these keywords or make sure this word appears twice.
So they're really isolating that instruction following ability. Not just, can you make a resume, but can you follow the recipe for making a resume?
Exactly, a controlled test. But how do you actually see what's going on inside an LLM?
Yeah, like crack open its head and peer in.
Well, not quite. They use these things called linear probes. It's a way to analyze the LLM's internal states, all those complex calculations happening under the hood.
Right.
And they were looking for any pattern, any signal that predicted whether the LLM would actually follow the instructions correctly.
So it's like they're trying to find the tell.
Yeah, the tell.
Did they find it?
They did. And it's remarkable. They found this specific dimension, this sort of signal within the LLM's inner workings that was strongly linked to, well, to whether it followed instructions correctly.
So they found the signal. What does that actually mean?
Well, here's the kicker.
Mm.
This signal, this dimension, it was detectable before the LLM even started spitting out its response.
Wait, so it's like the LLM knows if it's going to succeed or fail before it even tries.
That's exactly what the data suggests. Going back to your resume example, the LLM's internal state already showed whether it would nail all those keywords before it even started writing a single word.
Whoa, hold on. So you're saying the LLM could predict its own success. That's insane. Like it knows if it's going to ace the test before even picking up a pencil. What does that mean for AI agents? Could we actually use this knowledge to build more reliable AIs?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. If we can spot those potential failures early on, we could intervene, right? We could correct the LLM before it produces something unhelpful or even harmful. It's like a built-in safety net.
Okay, that's huge. But I'm guessing they didn't stop there.
You're right. They pushed it further. They tried to manipulate this dimension, this instruction following dimension they discovered.
Okay, now we're getting really sci-fi. So they found this signal, and then they try to, like, tweak it.
Exactly. Like they were trying to nudge the LLM in the right direction internally to boost its chances of success.
Okay, I'm hooked. So they're like LLM whisperers.
Kind of. And the results are pretty impressive. By tweaking things along this dimension, they significantly boosted the LLM's success rate. And get this, they did it without hurting the quality of the responses.
So it's not just blindly following instructions. It's still producing good work. That's important. But how did they know they were tweaking the right thing?
Great question. They compared it to random manipulations. What they found was that messing with things randomly often made the LLM worse, both in terms of success rate and quality.
So this isn't just any random signal they stumbled on. This is like core to how the LLM makes decisions.
Precisely. They pinpointed a crucial part of the process. But then, of course, they wanted to understand why. Why is this dimension so linked to success? And to answer that, they looked at three main possibilities. So we're diving back into this idea of an instruction-following dimension, right? This signal that seemingly predicts whether an LLM will successfully follow instructions.
Right. But it's not just about observing this phenomenon, is it?
Yeah.
They actually try to figure out why this dimension was so important.
Exactly. They had the what, and now they were on the hunt for the why.
So where did they start? What were their initial theories?
Well, one thought was task familiarity, the idea that LLMs might be better at following instructions for things they've seen a lot.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, we're all better at things we've practiced, right?
Exactly. But when they tested it, task familiarity wasn't the main factor.
Hmm. Interesting. So it's not just a case of practice makes perfect for LLMs. What else did they consider?
Well, they looked at instruction difficulty. Maybe complex instructions are just harder for LLMs to process.
Yeah, like a simple instruction, write a haiku, versus something with tons of steps and nuances.
Right. But again, when they tested it, instruction difficulty wasn't the primary driver either.
Okay, so two theories down. I'm on the edge of my seat here. What was their final hunch?
How the prompt is phrased, the wording.
Yeah.
And, well, this turned out to be the key.
Hold on, are you saying that how we ask is more important than what we ask? That's kind of wild, isn't it?
It is. It suggests that how the LLM represents the prompt internally, like how it encodes our words into its own language, is super sensitive to phrasing.
So it's not just about giving the LLM the information, it's about framing it in a way it can grasp.
Exactly. And this is where prompt engineering comes in.
Ah, prompt engineering. Everyone's talking about it. But can you give me a real-world example of how this phrasing thing plays out?
Sure. Imagine you're using an AI writing assistant. You want a blog post about meditation. If you just say, write a blog post about meditation, you might get something decent. But if you're more specific, like, I need you to write an engaging blog post that explores the benefits of meditation for stress reduction and overall well-being.
You're guiding it, giving it more context.
Exactly. And you're more likely to get a really insightful piece of writing that way.
So it's like you're providing a clearer mental map for the LLM to follow, just by using more evocative language.
Precisely. You're setting it up for success.
This is incredible.
Hmm.
It means we can actually influence an LLM's its thought process
Right.
just by carefully choosing our words.
Yeah.
But this level of sensitivity to phrasing, doesn't that raise some concerns too?
Absolutely. It means LLMs could potentially be manipulated or biased in ways we might not even realize.
Right. So it's not just about making LLMs more effective, it's about making sure they're used responsibly.
Exactly. It's about guiding their development in a way that benefits all of us.
This is really making me think about AI in a whole new way. It feels like we're at the very beginning of something huge.
We are. And there are still so many unanswered questions, like the big one. Do LLMs really understand language, or are they just masters of pattern matching? So we're back, still grappling with this question. Do LLMs actually understand language, or are they just insanely good at pattern matching?
Right, and the research we talked about, it kind of makes things even more confusing.
Right, like the whole thing with LLMs predicting their own success.
Yeah, and being so sensitive to how we phrase our prompts.
It's all very suggestive, isn't it?
Does that mean they're understanding something? Or have they just built up this massive database of patterns in their training?
That's the debate, right? I mean, think about it. If LLMs were just mindlessly matching patterns, you'd assume that any phrasing that, conveys the same basic idea should lead to the same result.
Right, like if I ask you to make me a cup of tea, or I'd love a cup of tea, please, you know what I mean? Either way.
Exactly. But that's not really what we see with LLMs, is it?
Not quite. It seems like those subtle differences in phrasing really do matter.
They do. So are they picking up on nuances like we do as humans? Or is something else going on?
Could it be that they've just absorbed so many patterns that they've built up this incredibly detailed map of language where each specific phrase is like a signpost pointing them to a particular outcome?
That's a really interesting way to put it, and it raises a fascinating question.
Yeah.
If they're navigating by those linguistic signposts, so to speak, does it even matter if they truly understand the way we do?
Yeah. Like, if they can consistently deliver what we want, does it really matter what's happening under the hood? It's kind of like that whole Turing test debate, right?
Exactly. If they can pass for intelligent, do we need to worry about whether it's real intelligence or not?
Big questions.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think we have the answers yet. But regardless of whether they truly understand, it's clear that LLMs are capable of some seriously impressive things.
Oh, absolutely. Predicting their own success, adapting to different tasks, being sensitive to phrasing nuances.
It's mind-blowing stuff, and I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg, you
Yeah.
know? Who knows what's next?
It's both exciting and a little daunting, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I think the key takeaway here is, like, LLMs are tools, powerful tools.
Right. And we need to understand how they work, be mindful of the language we use when we interact with them, and always keep in mind the ethical implications.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Well, that's our deep dive into the world of LLMs, everyone. Hopefully you learned some cool stuff today. And as always, check out the show notes for links to the research and other resources so you can keep exploring. Until next time, stay curious.